All right, so last night I was sitting here, obviously well past a couple of drinks, when a certain comment kind of landed on my video from yesterday afternoon, which was a tough video for me to do. But with nearly 300 videos on the new channel, I didn't know if this was something that you guys understood about me, right? Because I try to talk about problems of the common man because I am the common man. I'm broke. I live in a roach infested little studio apartment. And everything about my life has a certain discomfort to it, from going to sleep to waking up to going to my parole job. There's something uncomfortable about it. But there's also something different about me that ordinary people don't have. And that's I've spent half my life at university. Unlike a lot of people that I've met, in fact, most people that I've met don't have 4 college degrees. I do, unfortunately, because I knew that eventually this comment was going to come. And I try not to sound that way when I'm doing the live streams or whenever I'm making a video. I try to shy away from it, but it's inevitable that I'm going to come off this way. So the comment reads like this: the problem, MS, is you spent too long at university giving you an aristocratic mien. You're a touch too classy for your own interests. Somewhat ducal. Too classy for your own interests. Am I too classy to be poor? Is that what this comment is really about? Is that people don't like that I sound educated? I've experienced this in every aspect of my life where you meet someone, and I even had a lady who told me, "You talk pretty. You sound pretty." And it's, what am I supposed to say? Should I sound like a hillbilly? Should I dumb it down so I can reach more of the proletariat? No. Because it's not about the way that you sound, it's the message that I bring every day. That there isn't any hope out there. That the hourly job is a waste of time. And as the philosophical gamer says every day, and I may not agree with everything he says, but you should try to get out of work any way humanly possible. Because you going to work feeds the system. You having children feeds the system. And you know what? The system isn't going to stop abusing you as long as you keep feeding it. That's what this channel is about. Making certain that everyone out there understands this. And when I asked ChatGPT, I submitted this particular comment to it, and it brought me to this. This is a talking point from the script I'm going to read in a few minutes. The isolation of the educated poor. A university education often alienates people from their roots while failing to integrate them into the space of privilege they aspire to join. This creates a sense of limbo where you no longer relate to your old community but don't belong in the new one. That's exactly how I've felt my entire life. Even though I'm a Hispanic male, I don't sound like one, I don't act like one, I don't hang out in the spaces where other people who look like me are. In fact, I would say that most of my life, because of my privileged, educated life, I've spent in classrooms, I've spent at the university, I've spent in lecture, I've spent doing research. My academic pursuits have been my entire life. That's not normal. Most people are going to spend their lives working paycheck to paycheck, never getting ahead, but knowing who you're working with. One of the hardest things for me to transition to after I left the university in 2017 is ordinary people. Because the second I stepped into the ordinary job, everyone around you knows you don't belong there. You're an extraordinary person working in an ordinary world. And it's great as long as you stay around other academic people. I've been called brilliant by professors my whole life. But when that shine wears off, when you have to go stock shelves or work in a money center or do returns, do the crap work of the world as a very educated person, it's hard. Because everything about that place seems to rub you the wrong way. The wages, the people, the management, especially the management, uneducated management, where you talk to them and they don't really think about anything else. Management is single minded everywhere you go because they're trying to keep their job, they're trying to keep their wages, they're trying everything they can to make that business work. Because if the business doesn't work, they don't work. And this is the problem I've run into with management everywhere I've gone is this question. You think you're too good for work, don't you, millennials team? And I look at every one of them straight in the eyes and I say, you know it. And you ask me that question just so that you can feel like you're better than me. When the reality is you're never going to be better than me. You've been working in this dead end job your whole life. You have nothing to aspire to other than losing your job because you're not a good manager. I've had 5 managers in 3 years. Each and every one of them got extinguished by the job. Why? Because they're not supposed to be permanent positions. When you come into a management position, you know it's only a matter of time. We all have an expiration date at work, and we all know it's coming. And there's no way of getting out of the way. Whether you're a good worker, you're a bad worker, you're a worker who doesn't care. That's the number one thing that I've taken away from work in the last 6 weeks. Whether you care or not doesn't make a difference on your paycheck. It doesn't matter if you come to work and you care because the system doesn't care about you. So why should you care about a system that doesn't care about you? And that's what was the hardest thing for me to stop doing. I thought about work at night. I thought about work when I was on the pot. I thought about work while I was sitting here making videos. Then suddenly you realize how disposable you are. And suddenly you don't care anymore. And that is something that corporate America is dealing with right now in real time. What do you do with workers that don't care? And even worse, what do you do when those same workers, you don't know where their loyalty lies? Like, are they going to show up tomorrow? Are they going to quit? Or are they just going to leave? That's a question that every corporation is facing right now as things get harder and harder for working class people. So, an expansion to what I just read about the isolation of the educated poor, you learn to speak differently, think critically, and carry yourself with confidence. But when your paycheck doesn't match your education, you feel like an imposter in every room. Your old friends might think you're too fancy, while your new colleagues see you as a non-welcome person. That's another thing I've always felt. Oftentimes, working in technology, you're the only person that's not the same color as everyone else. And you don't sound like the people that you represent. And so they look at you like, well, what's this guy doing? And when I started working in retail, one of the comments that I got on a daily basis was, Millennial Steam thinks he's white. And I'm just like, and these are people that are of the lowest of the low class. These are people who didn't graduate from high school. These are people who are rough. Let's just put it that way. I'm not going to say anything else other than the lack of education and refinement means that they're rough. And they look at you, and I even had one supervisor tell me, it's like, you're never going to work in an office again. I'm like, I've always worked in an office. This is what's different to me, is not being able to find an office job and being here, having to talk to someone like you. And that conversation was had almost every day for 2.5 years. I even got this. This is a comment that I've gotten throughout my entire life as well. Beyond your education, why do you have to look that way? That was a question that I've gotten throughout my entire life. And it's like, what? It's like these lumps all over my body? Sorry. It's a byproduct of being alive. And people just don't understand that. Like, people just look at you and they're like, there's just something not right about you. You're too educated. You're too muscular. There's something just not right about you. We don't understand why you're poor. Why are you here? Why aren't you somewhere else? So we don't have to look at you. And again, it starts to wear on you. And it comes down to the isolation of the educated poor. You don't know, you don't really fit in anywhere. You can't take a regular job. Your current job isn't well suited for your abilities, your academic abilities. I run an office. That's what I do for a living. It doesn't correlate at all with my education in any capacity. It's boring. My boss knows that I'm bored all day. His boss knows that I'm bored all day. The executives know I'm bored all day. And that's something that we have to just deal with. Every single day, they've tried to get me to quit my current job by making my job even more obnoxious. And they know that I've never been comfortable there. It was a desperation job. And for them, it was a desperation hire. And here we are 3 years later, still desperate, still needing a job, still looking for a better job. But guess what? The perfect job isn't out there. They're all crap jobs. They're all things you don't want to do for a living. No proletariat man shows up at work and thinks, oh my God, thank goodness I'm coming to a job that I'm just going to have a lot of fun at today. No. Most of us come to work. We sit down at 8 o'clock. We look at the time and we just watch it go backwards because it's that boring. It doesn't take any effort to do your job. They just need someone to sit there and do the paperwork all day long. And at the end of the day, you leave at 5. You don't remember anything that you did because you block it all out. If I had to think about all the boring, mundane tasks I have to do all day long, all the people that I have to talk to that are demoralized and checked out, you wouldn't be able to keep doing it. You have to go to your happy place every day because otherwise the place will drive you insane because it's just mindless, repetitive work. It has no meaning. You don't grow from it. You don't learn anything from it. You just have to do it. And that's what the proletariat is. Remember, all we are is labor. So with that said, I spent half the video talking about my own problems. Let's get into the script. So I regenerated the script like 4 times. This is the best version. This is the original version of it. And it's, in my opinion, the best that GPT could come up with. So let's get into our first paragraph. Let me tell you a little secret about university. They sell you a dream of prestige, respect, and a better life. But for someone like me, it didn't buy freedom. It bought chains. Chains made of debt, disappointment, and an illusion of worth. My education was supposed to buy me a good job, a place in society, comfort, not having to worry about money again. But it's done none of those things. All it's done is buy me a little higher rung in society. I'm not working for minimum wage right now, but I'm not done with minimum wage in my life. It's waiting for me to come back like an old friend. They left the light on outside and it's waiting for me to come back. Because you never really escape low wages. Unless you're rich, unless you have the right connections, unless you're willing to turn to crime. Because last night while I was sitting here, I also got the comment that correlated human beings with cockroaches. And I kind of was taken aback by it. So I was sitting here and I got this question. It's like the roach metaphor, why they don't want you to succeed. So I put in I put in the title and it generated a script. And I was looking at this and I'm like, highlight how social structures are designed to limit upward mobility for the majority. Discuss low wages, inaccessible education, and systemic barriers that trap people in survival mode rather than allowing them to thrive. This is what ChatGPT came up with for that. I didn't want to use that because it seems rude. But it is definitely a viable point is that the proletariat is very comparatively to cockroaches. In the opinion of the rich, they're dirty, they're disgusting, they breed out of control, and nobody wants them around. All you want to do is eliminate them every time you see them trying to get ahead. That's what the rich do to the proletariat. That's what they'll always do to the proletariat. Oh, look, someone's trying to get ahead. Not get the spray. And then they hit you with the bug spray, you get dizzy, and then you land on your back, and you're right back at the bottom of the wage cage. All right, off on a tangent. Here we go. I went to university because I believed what they told me. Work hard, get your degree, and you'll make it. What they didn't tell me was that the world would judge me not for what I knew, but for what I look like and what I owned. Education gave me knowledge, yes, but it also gave me a new kind of loneliness. A feeling of being too good for some jobs and not good enough for others. That's exactly how I feel. You're too good for retail, too good for restaurant, too good for warehouse, but what are you going to do? What are liberal arts degrees for? Teaching? I'm never going to teach. I mean, the closest thing to teaching is coming out here and making these videos. This is the closest thing that I get to use my education for, is to come out here, make these videos, and let you know this is hard work. I don't wake up every day knowing what I'm going to talk about. Every single day that I come on here, I have to make the decision on what I'm going to present, how I'm going to present it, what talking points I'm going to use, and what tone of voice. Because it's all part of the show. You wear that cap and gown and you think it's a crown. You walk across the stage thinking, I've made it. But reality doesn't clap for you. No, reality hands you a stack of rejection letters and reminds you that experience beats education every single time. I've been saying that on this new channel now for months. Experience beats education every single time. And I don't have the right experience because, like most of you, we are never going to be given the opportunity to get experience that we can use to get ahead. The roaches aren't supposed to get ahead. And every time that you think you're a human being, you're only a human being when you have money. The rest of the time, you're just vermin. To be stuck at the bottom of the wage cage in the hamster wheel for life, you never get out. They don't tell you how a degree can make you overqualified for jobs you need and underqualified for jobs you want. And in the end, you take what you can get, you smile when you're sweeping the floors, hoping nobody remembers the big dreams you used to have. That was something that was constant. Oh my God, there's literally a cockroach crawling across my screen right now. What the holy hell? Oh my God. He's like right on cue. He's like, hey, remember me, Millennial Stain? As he walks across the script. Oh my God, this is disgusting. Let's say, they say education is the great equalizer, but is it really? Or is it just a shiny mask to hide a broken system? Because if you're not born into money or connections, all a degree really gives you is hope, and hope, my friend, doesn't pay the rent. What's worse, that I believe the lie, or that society still clings to it knowing what a lie. What's a lie? What about you? Did your education buy you the life you dreamed of, or just a new kind of poverty? I'm not going to read the rest of this because it's too sad, honestly. But this is how this is how us educated poor end up. The story isn't any different just because my degrees would be in something different. Even people with STEM degrees are coming out of school. They don't have the right experience and they're struggling. I mean, I see it in the comments every single day. I watch videos from other streamers, other YouTubers, other TikTok people. Well, maybe not too long for TikTok, but the story's the same. You come out of school and you don't know how to do anything. You don't have the experience. You don't know what to do, and there's no instructions for life. If I had the right instructions, I wouldn't be here. I'd be in my McMansion, banging my McWoman, driving my McCar. Everything would be comfortable because I made it. And I remember the last few nights driving or riding my bike home from university thinking, this chapter of poverty is finally going to end. There was a version of me that was so hopeful to finish school that I couldn't wait. And then reality hit me like a ton of bricks the next month when I was about to become homeless because I couldn't find a job. And I didn't have student loans anymore to help me pay for things. It was just me, a bunch of worthless education, no experience, and people that weren't going to hire you because what are you supposed to do? Walk into an interview and pretend that you're mentally ill? No, people don't want to hire people like me. I've had people tell me that in the comments. I wouldn't hire you, millennial Stan, because you'd make everyone in the office depressed. Why? Is reality that depressing that you need to hide it from the proletariat? No, the proletariat knows. When they look at their paycheck every 2 weeks and it's not enough to get by, there's depression, there's anxiety, there's panic, there's disappointment, there's even a little post traumatic stress. Because how are you supposed to be okay when you're living in a world that doesn't want you to be okay? Where you're a person that's not welcome in the parts of society that you want to be a part of. No, you don't get to escape. I've been looking for the escape hatch from this life for a long time. And regardless of what buttons I push, what levers I move, there's no escape. There's just more poverty. Because the system was built to keep us like this, regardless of whether or not we like it or not. Unless you win the lottery, it's a 60-year sentence of low paid work and having people look down upon you.